The top of the Empire State Building.
Z100, New York.
I'm Crystal Rosas. We got Max here.
What up, what up?
Z100, and we have a very special guest. We are celebrating female women-owned businesses out here in the city the entire month, and we're starting off with the owner, creator of Evelyn's Kitchen, Ayala Donchin. How you doing, Queen?
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course. We want to do the nail cam because she has her little glitteries on.
They're on their last leg.
Is it like the last stretch, the
so
final?
You know what? I actually went away a couple weeks ago to Cartagena.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted fancy nails for that. So, and when I was there at the nail salon, they were like, "No, it's just one nail you do fancy." I'm like,
No,
I would
Yeah.
like, oh yeah. So they're on their last leg, but yeah, I'm kind of. And I'm not normally a nail person because I'm always cooking, so it's not. But yeah, I decided to do it. But thank you.
No,
Thank
that
you very
happens to me
much.
too. They're like, it's supposed to be an accent nail. I'm like, no, my whole
I'm
life
like,
is
no,
an
I'd like,
accent.
oh, she did an accent, and I'm like, no, I kind of feel like I need 10, please.
Let's go
so,
big or go
They
home.
were
What are you
like,
talking
this
about?
lady, but yeah.
No. The nails are nice. The food is even better. Let's go ahead and talk
Thank
about this
you.
story. We've got to know. Do we go back and do we do like the history, like Evelyn's Kitchen? How did that become a thing? So yeah, let's start. Why did you decide to dive into the entrepreneurial role and particularly a restaurant in Harlem?
So I think I'm always been an entrepreneur at heart. So
Okay.
the entrepreneurial, I think you kind of have it, and you're, saddled with it forever.
Yeah.
My very first business when I was 11 years old was called Isla's Magnificent Mousse and Cheesecake.
Hold on for a second.
Correct.
Yo,
Yes,
11 years old. What were you doing when you were 11?
Not that.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
So-
No.
Trying to cheat on my math quiz. That's
So
what I was trying to do.
I wanted to go to summer camp, and my parents said if I raised half the money, they would put up the other half. And
Wow.
So they were business people too. They
correct.
knew what's up.
So I put flyers up everywhere for Isla's Magnificent Mousse and Cheesecake, and it's actually the same chocolate mousse and cheesecake recipe that we use at Evelyn's Kitchen
Come
today.
on now.
So
What?
yeah, but the funny thing is there was actually no overhead for this business because my parents bought all the ingredients and then would drive me around to deliver it. So it was kind of like free money,
Hey.
But yeah, it was
Every
a good.
day I'm
it was a
hustling,
good.
hustling. Cue the Rick
Exactly.
Ross music.
Which my dad used to remind me of all the time. It was like, yeah, it was a real successful business with no overhead whatsoever.
Wow.
So I actually had always wanted. I'd waitress my way through college. I worked in catering companies. Up until the point I moved to New York, and I worked a nonprofit for a long time.
Yes.
And I always wanted to figure out how to get into the food business. I really wanted to go back and work, but I didn't really want to waitress. I didn't want to. And for my 40th birthday, I decided to cater. I wanted a big party on a beach, and then I wanted to cook the food for everyone.
Yeah.
And my business partner at the time, Erica, had a home in Sag Harbor, and so we invited our closest friends up for the week. And on the weekend, there was 100 people. Husbands and boyfriends and other friends, and I cooked everything. It was what I wanted to do.
Where did you cook? Where were you able to cook all this?
We did a mojito bar, a fajita bar, a taco bar. It was pretty nuts. It was
mouth
really
is watering
fun.
now. All right. Hungry. Yep. That's how I'm feeling.
A friend of a friend, I'd been working in sports and entertainment at that time for about 15 years.
Yeah.
I worked at the Knicks, and so sort of and I'd had another business that I ran with Erica that we oversaw foundations for different athletes and celebrities. So
Yes.
my network was in
the
sort of
Rolodex
sports.
was
Correct.
that
So,
direction.
one of the people who came were like, "Oh, you made all this food. Do you want to do craft services for divas and hip hop honors?" And
Wow.
I'm dating myself at this point
Nah,
because I
but
don't think those shows are on
Iconic
anymore.
shows, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Well, what's craft services?" I didn't even know, and I Googled it, and I'm like, "Oh, it's like the food for the
for the
crew
shows,
and
for the crew,
staff,
for the
right.
Yep.
I was like, sure, I could. I was like, you want to pay me to cook for you? Like, that's so crazy. And so my first gig ever was '09 Hip Hop Honors.
Come on now.
Whoa.
We fed 1,700 people or something over 5 days. And at the end of that, the producers of the show said, this was the best craft services we've ever had.
Okay.
Can you do John Mayer Storytellers next week?
See,
And
yeah.
I'm like, okay.
That's not no big deal.
Sure, right? And so that's honestly how it started. It was a hobby.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to do, but it just kept...
It kept snowballing bigger and bigger and bigger.
Lauren Seawood, who at the time, do you know Lauren? Love Lauren.
Oh.
So funny story, Lauren was my intern after she was, like in her senior year at NYU, she interned at our nonprofit, which is where we met in the 90s. Yeah, so Lauren was at Hip Hop Honors, and she was like, I think was pregnant with her first at the time, and she was like, oh, I have to do Kevin's gifts. Can you do all of Def Jam's Christmas gifts? Could you do that?
Dang.
So I did all of, this was 09, did all of Def Jam's gifts. Somebody at the NFL was like, oh, you do Christmas gifts. So that's how it started. And about 8 months in, this is the long version, I'm sorry.
No,
but
I'm enamored by this.
This is awesome.
About 8, so we're now over in 2010, and somebody was like, what are you doing? And I was still running the other business with Eric at that point. This was literally, and I just wasn't sleeping. I had turned my apartment into a makeshift bakery, and I was just filling orders, and people in our hallway would be like, "What's going on in there?
What are you smelling things? Like, what are you running over there?"
And so, in March of 2010, a really good friend of mine said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I don't know."
Take this.
Right. And he said, "Well, let me see your P&L." And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a P&L. I have a box of receipts in the corner. Like, this was just like... And so we stopped everything. I did a business plan.
Nice.
Got some investments together and moved into the East Harlem location in September of 2010.
And boom.
So,
here we are.
And it's not
12
so
years
much
later.
boom. There's so many ups and downs when it comes to running a business. I would say that first year, I call it, we just threw a lot of spaghetti at the wall.
Solid stuff.
And figured, okay, how are we going to make money doing this? But yeah, we'll be 13 in September of this year. Thank you.
For real.
Thank
Gosh.
you.
And things that you're putting out for everyone. I mean, to get on Oprah's favorite things list with your banana pudding.
The banana pudding pudgies have taken on a life of their own. The funny thing is like the old school people know about our toffee blondies. So that's really what, and I almost slid these into the box today.
Oh wait,
but
you brought boxes? I thought we weren't supposed to talk about these boxes in the room. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, right. So I'm sorry. Your secrets are safe with me. So I think, honestly, the thing with, the banana pudding pudgies took on a life of its own when started. When we opened the cafe in 2012, because for the first 2 years in the kitchen, we were just catering and wholesale. So we were doing wholesale for Madison Square Garden, Max Brenner's. We were private labeling. And then in 2011, I decided I didn't like the idea that we were making things and other people were selling them as their own. I'm like, no, it's my
This is my creation.
Blood tears. I did this.
So I had the opportunity to participate in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And it's basically 2 years of business school smashed into about 4 months, focusing strictly on small business, on your business.
Branding,
And I created a growth plan, which was to open the cafe and have a storefront. And part of that storefront was now putting our own products out. And once we opened, everyone was like, oh, do you do banana pudding? And I'm like, I personally think wet desserts to go.
Little dicey.
Gross. It's
yeah. Okay.
And so we had already been we have like handheld carrot cake and handheld pecan pie. So we created the handheld banana pudding, which was the banana pudding pudgy. And again, this is where your network comes in. And this is what I always tell people when they're talking about starting a business or how to move forward is your network is everything.
Yes.
Along with your integrity, right?
Yeah.
And so Gail King's hairdresser was a big fan of the banana pudding pudgy. She brought a box to Gail, who got addicted.
Whoa.
And through that, we were able to get selected as one of the O Magazine's favorite things. That was in 2014.
When you start to think about the history and like we were saying earlier, the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it, and the fact that you were kind of thrust into an environment without any training, without any knowledge, but you were able to succeed, to thrive, to do it with a small family, but a core group of people who fully believe. What does that mean to you to see where it went from then to where you continue to grow from here?
That's such a good question. No, it's such a good question, and I think that a big part of what makes this so fun and
Yeah.
fulfilling is that it is the same group of people.
Yeah.
So our team, while it has grown, the core team is the same team. Betty started in 2010. She was my first hire. Her daughter is our other baker now. Her ex-husband, is our kitchen manager.
Yeah.
My daughter's father runs the business with me. So it's all sort of the same people. We have one cook, Brandon, who also started as a porter.
Oh,
And
wow.
now he runs service at night. So he left for about a year. And when he came back, at some point I'd put him on Instagram, and like I got all these DMs like, "Oh my God, Brandon's back!"
Yeah. That stuff's important.
So I sent, you know, those Facebook memories that pop up.
Yeah.
I literally just sent him one last week. 10 years ago, I said we got Brandon a little workstation by the stove, so he didn't have to share with the bakers. And you would have thought I handed him $10,000.
Randy got a spot and is
I
happy with it.
screenshot it and I sent it to him because that's like 10 years later.
Yeah.
This thing,
The
and I can
growth.
still share. Yeah. So it really, listen, finding your team and then keeping them around
Yes.
you, finding ways to make sure that they're invested, I think that's one of the most important things, because it's really hard to have different people in and out and
For
in
sure.
and out and training them. So yeah, I'm really proud of the fact that we have our core team intact.
Now, hearing your story, there's so many women who have worked for other people and had their services and products, you know, under the umbrella of someone else, but you decided to break out. And after you had your daughter, after you've done so many other things, you started your own business. Like, what can you say to other women that hope and want to do that but are nervous or scared or feel like they don't have
Don't do
the
it.
reach or
No.
network?
No, just kidding. Well, so actually, like, I had my daughter in the midst of this. So my daughter will be 7. So she came along about halfway, a little before halfway through. Listen, it's a lot of work. It's a huge commitment. Having my daughter changed my priorities entirely. So, but I think that this idea, there were times where I'm like, oh, maybe I should give it up, or, you know, like, maybe this isn't for me. And the thought of working for someone else is like worse than figuring out how to take on all this responsibility and manage all the responsibility.
Yeah.
What do I say to people who want to start a business? I mean, I think that if you're really committed and passionate about what you're doing, you can do it. You just have to really decide that's what you're doing. I've always said, like, if somebody was like, sell toothpaste, there's no way I could be successful doing it, even if it was my toothpaste. If it was because I don't care about toothpaste, right?
Yes.
I really care about people's visceral experience with our product.
So is that like an invitation
It
for
is.
me to go
Let's
over
do
this
it.
way?
Yes,
You know,
let's do
I
it.
can feel a
Let's
segue
do
when I
it.
feel a segue. So as we see, not only do we have this beautifully
I
packaged
love
box,
it.
but these beautifully packaged boxes are available not only here in the tri-state area, but nationwide.
We do ship nationwide now. Yeah, that was one of our pivots.
Yes,
During
yeah.
the pandemic is we started partnering with Goldbelly.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing service. They are an online marketplace for curated artisanal products.
Used it so many times. I can't tell you
And
how many times
isn't it amazing?
I've sent cookies and king cakes
Yeah,
from New Orleans to my family back
yeah.
home in California.
Like, you
Now we
could
can
find
now-
the San Diego. You could find your favorites in
Find-
San Diego, I'm sure.
I'm telling you, but it's all about when my mom
It's
sinks her
huge.
teeth into something from Evelyn's kitchen. And before we
so
give
many.
you that visceral reaction, I want to think about and explain to the listeners the idea of mentorships and the idea of those people that you leaned on also. As we were talking about small team, who was it that you called on for help? This isn't something that you could do on your own.
Right,
Who
no,
were some of
there's-
those mentors, some of those other strong women who you look to for some guidance, so that way we can have these things nationwide now?
Absolutely. No, I think, I've been lucky to have many mentors in my life. There is one woman who I value so much. Her name is Lola West. She actually interviewed me to come to New York for my first job. She was on the board of directors of the nonprofit. And so she's literally been a part of my life
Since day dot.
from the day I stepped
Yeah.
foot, and has followed. And it's she called. We were just on Good Morning America in the fall in October, and we sold 54,000 pudgies on their Deals and Steals.
Yeah.
And when that came out, she called me and she was like, "Girl, do you realize?" And just that level of support. So there's people like that you know are in your corner.
Yes.
I do have to say with mentors, it is so important that it's a reciprocal relationship, though.
Got it.
I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's a mentor. Like, you're just in my life to take care of me. But it's my responsibility to keep abreast with people, to make sure that, I'm checking on them as well, that I'm sending them cookies every once in a while, right? So that people want to be in your corner. I think that's really one of the things that younger people miss when they're starting out, is realizing it's not just what can you do for me?
Yeah, it's
but
not a one-way street.
How can we keep a relationship and develop a relationship?
Cultivate the relationship to grow together.
Yeah.
You want them to be there with you when you get to your highest parts of success.
And when you fall as well.
Yes.
Like, they were like, okay, I see you, and how are we going to now start over? What are we doing next?
You have it.
All right, let's do it. I want to see what you guys think.
I mean,
So
I'm
I brought
thinking
3 flavors. I brought these are the ones these are the pudgies that are available on Goldbelly.
Okay.
The
My
banana
God.
pudding pudgy.
Of course. Ooh.
And then the s'mores.
I'm such a s'mores
And
person.
S'mores is basically like a chocolate chip cookie on crack. Like, that is just.
Need that.
And then our Devil
Devil
Dog. Do you
Dog.
guys remember Devil Dogs? Like,
I do remember
I don't know
those.
if you're of the generation
I
that would
do.
remember.
I try to
Devil
keep my age
Dogs-
a secret too, but I'm just saying.
So Devil Dog. Are you doing Devil Dog?
I'm going Devil Dog.
It's stuffed with Oreos
Ooh.
and toasted marshmallow.
Come on now.
Oh my god, that sounds so good. I'm gonna
You're
try
on
the
the
s'mores one.
You go
S'mores
s'mores?
is milk
s'mores.
chocolate,
Go for it.
chocolate chip Teddy Grahams, and marshmallows.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Come on.
This is insane.
And oh man, and pudgy.
Wow.
Just that name for a dessert.
So this is the pudgy was actually named by a woman named Dolores Concepcion.
Another woman. Loving that.
Yeah, Dolores is amazing. Dolores has been a good friend for years. She was running marketing at Belvedere when I was starting the business, and so was actually able to bring me in as a in-house corporate caterer at Belvedere.
Wow.
And when she first tasted, when we were developing the pudgy, she was at the kitchen and she was like, "You should call these pudgies." Oh, that was
Boom.
it. Yeah.
And it's born
That
just
was
like
it.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm telling you, have you ever gotten goosebumps when you put a piece of food in your mouth? Like, I mean,
I love it.
you want Nick? You want a bite, dude? I can rip you off. I'm telling you. Here's some
So
more
good.
for you. No, I'm just Dog,
Feed it to him.
take that, man. I'm telling you. So when you,
So good.
oh my gosh, when it, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I want to
So
say.
who's your taste tester? Like, how do you figure out
Clearly
exactly?
me on some levels.
Let's
We have, when we develop new products, we go through probably 10, 15, 20 iterations. Like,
Yeah.
does it need more this? Does it have
Oh,
this?
wow.
And so really it's the team. We start internally, and then I used to carry, before I started the business, or the first year I was starting, I used to carry cookies around and blondies around in a Ziploc bag with me. And there are still people to this day that are like, "What you got in your bag?" Like, and I'm like, "No, I'm no longer carrying Ziploc
I graduated from that,
bags
y'all.
of cookies
Ask Oprah.
around." But I think we get to, and that's why I say the visceral reaction. Like, I live for that, and that goes across all of our items. We serve dinner
Yeah.
at the kitchen as well. So we're on
wow.
Grubhub, Uber. We ship nationwide our food as well. And so there is, every product has to have that, like,
And it does.
yeah, I thank you very much. Thank you. And you haven't even tried the banana pudding.
That's what I'm saying. That's listen, because this is our first time meeting. I don't want to really, you know what I'm saying, break down. Up in here is already tears coming to my eye.
It's not.
Well,
it's
now
totally
you're raising
fine.
a little empowering woman yourself. What do you see your daughter? What do you think that she's into? Have you seen anything of her?
So she
likes?
is a character.
Yeah.
She's Brooklyn. Her name is Brooklyn. Brooklyn is really into performing. So singing, dancing. She's into sports as well. She loves basketball. But her whole thing is she has FOMO. So
Yes. It's got to be a part of everything.
She's got to be a part of it. She's been like that. Like definitely nature over nurture.
Yeah.
So she has 2 introverted parents, and she's an extremely extroverted child. I've always said, like, she's never, like, if Brooklyn could be friends with a lamppost, like, she would be down.
You tell Brooklyn it's an open door policy.
Yeah, she would be down.
You're part of the family now.
Thank you.
Like, for real. Like, I'm telling you, we
as
need
long
to find
as I
a way.
bring the pudgies, right?
Not even that. I mean, maybe one or two, per visit. But no, but just the opportunity for, the way that you've paid it forward, the opportunity that you've helped to nurture, to grow the team that you have around you, those who sink their teeth into your goodies, the least that we could do as well is
thank
to,
you.
to
She'll
let
be
them
right
know.
up here taking your job.
I'm with it.
She also tells people that she works at the kitchen, and her job. Yeah. So I'll tell her, like, she came in one day. She's like, "What can I do?" And this was around Thanksgiving, and we ship Thanksgiving nationwide as well on Evelyns-kitchen.com.
There it is.
But she had asked when she came in, and Stephanie was making, we do an apple cider donut muffin, which means you take the muffin, you have to brush it with butter, and then you put it into the sugar and cinnamon. So it was like this whole, and I asked Brooklyn to help me with something, and she was looking at Steph, and she was like, "No, I want to do what she's doing," because I had all these different parts to it. So
she's already running stuff in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Before we get you out of here, the one question I don't think that we've asked, Evelyn, that name, what does that name mean to you, and how did this become Evelyn's Kitchen?
Thank you for asking that. So Evelyn was my godmother.
Yeah.
And she passed away the year I was starting the business. So it is another reason why that birthday was really significant for me. Yeah. She had cancer, and I ended up becoming her primary caretaker during that time. Like, it started off really slow, like, "Oh, I'll walk your dog," or, "Oh, I'll run you up to the appointment." And so during this time, she had, like, the portable oxygen tank. And we used to take what we called road trips down to Magnolia Bakery in the village. It was right? So, and then there were other places of sweets that she just really liked. And she said one day to me, like, "I really wish somebody would make a really good blondie. Nobody makes a good blondie." And I'm like, "Oh, I could do that."
I got you.
Right? So, I poured over recipes, and I came up with mine, and I took it to her, and she was like, "No. That's not what I was looking for." And I'm like, "Well, what were you looking for?" She's like, "Mine should be chewier." And
Mine.
This went on, and that's why I had the Ziploc bags, because somebody had to eat all the blondies I was making. And so I was like, I'm like, "Oh, try this, try this." And then people started calling me like, "Hey, those blondies, could I get some of those?" So when for Hip Hop Honors, I was like, "Oh, I need business cards probably for this." And I have this list still, like, what should I call it? And I had all these things. And we settled on Evelyn's Kitchen. And I'm so glad I did, because, and people are like, "Oh, that's so nice. Like, you're sweet godmother." And I'm like, no, Evelyn was like one of those ladies who smoked the Moore cigarettes, like the real long, really fly.
Yes.
She would, like, wake up at 2:00 in the morning and take chocolate cake and eat it with a fork with, like, a carton of milk. Just did her own thing type of person.
Yes.
And I feel like her spirit is there. Like, I feel like her spirit is at the kitchen.
It looks like it's here. I mean, look at how beautiful this packaging and everything is.
I'm really, really happy that we named it after her.
Deserving. To think at this point that she's looking down at us, she's smiling.
Thank you.
At every single person who has sank their teeth into or taken a little nibble of one of these, to know that, just as you said, she was her own person. She did it just like you. You did your own thing with this.
She forged her own path, and I'm grateful. She was a mentor as well. So it's just, I'm very lucky to have had really strong women in my life that allowed me to sort of move forward with this crazy idea.
Gotta say, Ayala, thank you so
much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Jeez, Louise, I don't know how else to wrap things up around here, Chris. Other than, like, I mean, let's just read from the bottom. Honest food done exceptionally well. Honest conversation. exceptionally well as
Thank
well.
you so much. Come see us. We're on First Avenue between 118th
Yes.
and 119th. We don't have a sit-down place, but we do takeout, delivery, and you can find us online at evelyns-kitchen.com.
You're on the gram too, right?
Yes.
I am.
Yeah, come
oh,
on
thank
now.
you.
Let's talk
at
about that.
Evelyn's Kitchen. There
Yeah.
are probably more pictures of my child at the moment
Go,
because her
Brooklyn.
birthday is
It's your
tomorrow.
birthday.
But we do try to, put food in there as well.
Well, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank
Congratulations.
you so much, guys. I
Yeah.
appreciate the
on all your
opportunity to be
success.
here.
This is the beginning of something that's going to be exceptional. This family, this familiar relationship that we're
Come
so
visit.
blessed to
I would
grow.
love that. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Evelyn's Kitchen, y'all, come on, give it a round of applause.
From the top of the Empire State Building